Many people today are looking for more purpose in life, and they're looking for hobbies that will bring them fulfillment and help them change from being a passive consumer of media to an active creator. Today, I want to suggest to you a hobby that will help make you smarter, build your skills, save you money, and improve your home. That hobby is building your own smart home system. My name is Josh, and this is Engineering a Better Education. It's never been easier to get stuck scrolling social media for hours and to just passively consume media. And I know from my own personal experience and from what all the doctors and everyone is saying today that passively consuming media for hours is not good for your mental health. And it's not good for your personal growth and development. It leads to feeling kind of depressed and a little powerless in your life versus actively creating is going to help you feel empowered. It's going to bring joy back to your life, and it's going to enrich your personal growth and development. And I know a lot of people are looking for meaningful hobbies that they can be excited about, that they can look forward to on the weekends, and that will help pull them away from just getting sucked into scrolling passively. And I know there are a lot of people out there who love DIY home improvement projects, going to Home Depot, building something for your home. That can be a lot of fun and very enjoyable. So I think if you're one of those people, you're really going to love this hobby of building a smart home system for your home. And what I'm referring to is building something such as a smart window sunshade, something that you can control with your phone that'll raise and lower a sunshade. I'm talking about a garage parking aid, like a red and a green LED that turns green when you're in the optimal parking spot. For example, our garage is really short, and so if you want to be able to walk around the car in the front and in the back, there's a very small window of space that you need to park in, and sometimes it's a little tricky to line it up. So I've considered building for our own home in our garage a parking system where you just pull forward and wait for a light to turn green, and you're in the perfect parking spot. That's another example. You could also build a smart plugs for your home, plugs that will turn on and off on a timer so that you can hook some lights up and get certain lighting in the evening. And a doorbell camera is another common example. These are all things that you can build yourself. There are a lot of commercially off-the-shelf options that you can buy, but by the end of today's episode, you'll understand why it's so much more fun to build it yourself and why it's going to help build your skills, make you smarter. It'll actually save you money. It's surprisingly cheap to build some of these things, and it's overall just going to improve your home. I'm someone who loves learning, and I love learning engineering topics, kind of like home improvement stuff, how things work. And I made a podcast video a few weeks ago about some of my favorite YouTube channels. I watch Veritasium, 3 Blue, 1 Brown, Floathead Physics, and what I will say is that usually I don't do anything after I've watched an episode from one of those YouTube channels. I'll watch something about black holes, or I'll watch something about how a credit card works, and I find it really fascinating and I really enjoy the episode, but once it's over, I turn it off and I never really do anything, and a lot of times I forget what I learned in the episode. And that's because I'm just passively consuming media and I'm not actively building something. Contrast that with this guitar, the electric guitar that's on the wall behind me. And I talked about this in last week's episode, but I actually 3D printed, designed, and built that guitar. And this was an active creation project that I put together, and it was so much more engaging, and I remember the things that I learned, and it was just so much more fulfilling overall than just watching a video and moving on. And in fact, this project did start with just watching a video. I watched a video where somebody had created, as far as I know, the first 3D printed electric guitar, and it looked very similar to the one that I have behind me on the wall. And rather than just stopping there and being like, wow, that was really cool, I just watched someone build a guitar, I decided that I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to design my own guitar, learn that process, and I learned so many skills that have stuck with me, and I didn't forget them immediately because I applied them. I could build another guitar now if I wanted to because I remember the process. I could give you so many examples in my life and in the lives of people I know where building something, creating something really made those skills stick rather than just watching somebody else do that. And I think we all intuitively know that's the way things work. Another simple example is my brother has built a server in his home where for our family, we can store files on his server. He has movies on there, somewhat like a streaming service. And I know that when he started, he didn't know how to do all those things, but he's been learning as he goes. And I think that he really enjoys running the server. And I know that we as a family really enjoy it. It's really improved our quality of life as we like to watch movies, and just having another option for a free file storage system for our family has been really great. So that's a second example of a type of home improvement project that you could pursue. But what I want to convince you today is that the hobby that you've been looking for that's going to bring you fulfillment, joy, challenge is building a smart home system. And that's because first and foremost, it's going to make you smarter and it's going to build your skills. It's okay that you've never done it before, and it's okay that you don't know how to do it. When I started building my guitar, I had never built a guitar before. In fact, I had never even set up my own guitar. I've been playing guitar for quite a while now, 16 years, 18 years, and I've owned several guitars, and I've never even set up my own guitar. That's where you get like an Allen wrench and you turn the truss rod and you adjust the bend in the neck and the height of the strings, things like that. I had never even done that for one of my guitars, and I decided I'm going to build a guitar. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn so much along the way, but I figured it out because it was a project that I committed to, and it was a project that was important to me. So it doesn't matter that you've never built a smart home system. It doesn't matter that you've never programmed a microcontroller like an Arduino. It doesn't even matter if you've never written code before on a computer. You can learn those things and you can figure them out, and you will learn them faster just by starting and committing to a project than you would going to school, getting a college degree, or doing a computer programming course. And the reason building a smart home system is such a fun project and such a great idea is you're going to learn a variety of useful skills, such as electronics, programming, CAD design, 3D printing, and a variety of other ones that I'm probably forgetting right in this moment. And you're going to be able to combine all of those things together. You're going to program the microcontroller that will act like the brain of your smart device. You're going to learn a little bit of networking. That was one that I forgot. So that you can connect via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to your device. You're going to learn a little bit of app design if you want to connect your smartphone to your device. You're going to need to use some CAD design and 3D printing to create the hardware components. And I'll say this again, it doesn't matter if you've never done any of those things before, you can figure them out. And you're going to figure them out faster when you start your project. The second reason this is going to be the perfect hobby for you is it's going to save you money. And this might seem kind of counterintuitive, but I'll give you a simple example. When we moved into the house that we're living in now, it came with a Ring doorbell, which is that doorbell that has the camera, and you can save videos from your camera and, talk to people when you're not home if they ring your doorbell. I think you're all familiar with it. And we were really excited when we moved in, like, oh, that's awesome. We get this free. I mean, it was free because it came with the house. The previous owners had bought it, this free doorbell camera. And we moved in, and for the first month, I was using it a lot and watching the videos, when someone would come by the house and we wanted to see who it was. And then after like a month or 3 months, I realized it wasn't quite working the same. And that's because we were on a free trial. Turns out we needed to pay a monthly subscription in order to be able to access those saved videos. And without paying the monthly subscription, you can't go back and see any of the video footage. All you can do is like in real time when someone rings the doorbell, you can like look real quick who's at the door. And the monthly subscription was $10 a month, but I was like, man, do I really want to pay a monthly subscription for this doorbell camera? Do we use it that much? And we decided not to pay for it. And so I feel like I'm really limited on the features that I can get out of that doorbell camera. And it would be a little over $100 a year just to have that service. Whereas if I were to build my own doorbell camera system, I could probably build the whole thing for maybe $120, and that would be the cost of a 1-year subscription. Not to mention, if we didn't inherit that doorbell camera from the previous owners of the home, we would have had to pay the cost for the camera itself and the installation. I don't know how much that is. I haven't looked into that, but it would actually be surprisingly cheap, and you wouldn't need to pay that monthly subscription if I was to design and build that system myself. So it can actually save you money, and these electronic components are surprisingly cheap. Right now I'm working with an ESP32, which is a type of microcontroller similar to an Arduino, but it has a Wi-Fi and a Bluetooth chip, and they're like $10 to $12. So I think I got a pack of 3 of them for $25, maybe $30, and they're incredibly powerful. You can program them to do a wide variety of things. I have another electronics kit. It's the Elegoo Arduino Mega starter kit, which comes with an Arduino Mega, another type of microcontroller, and then just a bunch of sensors and electronic components, such as like ultrasound sensor, temperature sensor, relays, probably 30 or 40 components. And I want to say the whole kit was $80. So I got a microcontroller and 40 or 50 sensors and all the wires and breadboards and everything that goes with it. And I can build a ton of things with that kit. It's been a lot of fun to learn with, and it was really quite affordable. So you'd be surprised how cheap these components are. And you'll probably spend the most money, honestly, on your mistakes. I'm working on designing a smart window shade right now, and I've bought 2 motors so far. I bought 1 motor, and I was like, I don't think this one's quite going to work the way I want it to. So I bought another motor, and now I'm like, do I want a 3rd motor? Because I keep changing the way I want the design to be. I think I can make it work with the 2 that I bought. But honestly, you'll probably spend the most money just on your mistakes, like needing to rebuy things. And honestly, it's still going to be cheaper than playing golf. I am not much of a golfer, but I have a few friends that golf, and they invite me, and I go sometimes, and I'm always like, oh man, golf's expensive. It's like $20-25 to play 9 or 18 holes, depending on where you go. And of course, I don't have golf balls or clubs, so if I'm gonna borrow some of those, rent some of those, it's a little more expensive. So my point is, this is not even going to be your most expensive hobby, and you're going to be able to save money on your home because you can get these really nice smart home devices that you design yourself, and just buying the components is not going to break the bank. Finally, the 3rd reason why designing your own smart home system is a worthwhile hobby is it's going to improve your home. And the cool thing about this is that when you design your own system, it can be custom tailored for your needs and your home. You can adjust the features however you want them. If you're building your own app, and most of the time when I say app, I'm talking about a progressive web application, which looks like an app on your phone, but you don't even need to list it in the App Store. You can download a little package onto your phone and give it an icon and put it on your phone screen just like you would for a typical app. And it's not something that you have to distribute with everybody, but you can build your own apps that can do whatever you want, and it's surprisingly simple. And if you ever want to change something about it, like if you buy one of these smart home systems off the shelf, there might be something about the app that you don't like, or there might be a feature that you wish you had. For example, we have an automatic garage door opener, and sometimes I leave the garage open when I leave for work and I forget to close it, and I kind of wish it would close itself if it was open for 5 or 10 minutes. That's the kind of thing you can code that logic into your microcontroller and add that feature. So it's going to improve your home because you're going to be able to custom tailor and add the features that you want, and you can upgrade your system whenever you want. You can start with something pretty rudimentary that just gets the job done, and over time you're going to realize, I want this other feature added to my garage door opener or my window sunshade, and you can just go and add those features. You can add the code to your microcontroller, you can go buy some more hardware, redesign the system, And you're going to be very good at troubleshooting your system because you're the one who designed it. You're going to have a complete in-depth understanding of how it works. And so it just feels so much more empowering than buying the off-the-shelf systems. And the other cool thing is you could integrate everything into one single app. I know for our home right now, I think we have at least 3 apps that I use. We've got the app for the garage door opener. We've got an app for the smart plugs. We've got an app for the doorbell. We've got an app for the smart TV. And it just starts to feel kind of like cluttered, have so many different apps and different like logins. And sometimes you can't remember what all the logins are. It just feels very disconnected. It doesn't feel like one integrated smart home system. But if I were to design all these systems myself, I can integrate them into the same app, maybe with just different tabs in there for the different devices. You can really do whatever you want. The sky's the limit. And the last thing I want you to do is feel overwhelmed by wanting to create all of these systems. The truth is, it can be kind of challenging to design these things, but it is possible, and we've never lived in a better age of the history of the world where you can learn to do these things yourself for free or for cheap. And if you just start small with one simple project, like for me, I'm starting with that smart window sunshade, and that's because we have 3 really high windows in our house that we can't reach without a ladder, and sometimes we wish that we could block the sunlight going through. And right now they're just always open. So we figured what would be better than an automatic sunshade that we could raise and lower with our phone or set on a timer, so certain times a day the shade would come down and we'd get relief from the sunlight up there. But it's a pretty small scope project, and I've been breaking it down into even smaller like sub-projects and components, like just designing the hardware and programming the microcontroller are kind of 2 mini projects within themselves. And I've just learned it step by step as I go. And truthfully, my biggest resources are ChatGPT, YouTube, and Google. You can start if you've never done anything like this before and you want to, let's say, design your own doorbell camera. You can start just by going to ChatGPT and explaining, I've never designed anything like this before, but I want to design my own smart doorbell camera similar to the Ring doorbell, and I want an app that goes along with it where I can see video footage. I want it to be connected via Wi-Fi, all these things. I've never done this before. Give me a high-level overview step by step of what I need to do and the skills I need to learn to accomplish this. And ChatGPT will do a really good job of breaking it down for you, telling you what you need to do, and then you can ask a bunch of follow-up questions of, okay, well, you told me I need to learn to program a microcontroller. Well, tell me, what microcontroller should I start with? Which one should I buy? And write some code for me, get me started, some code that will achieve this result that I want. And then sometimes ChatGPT gets a little long-winded and gets off in the weeds, and sometimes it just makes stuff up. So that's where I like to go to YouTube. And if there's a particular skill set that I'm looking to develop, I'll find a YouTube video where I can get a human teaching a specific skill set. And then if I just want a quick answer to a question, I'll just run a Google search, and I can usually get a pretty good answer from there. And you don't need an engineering degree to be able to design these systems. You don't need specialized training or a really expensive course. The truth is, you can learn all these things on your own. I have an engineering degree, and I would say I've learned more about designing these systems just from YouTube, ChatGPT, and Google than I ever did in the classroom. Probably the biggest challenge that you'll run into is your commitment level, because these projects are challenging. The guitar you see on the wall behind me took me about a year to fully design and build, and I could have done it much faster, but the problem is I would put it on hold for months at a time. I'd get really busy with work, and I was working on it almost exclusively on the weekends. So I would get a few hours in on a Saturday, and then it would get postponed. So there is a big commitment involved for these things. And I think the bigger struggle here is not necessarily the skill set itself, but it's the commitment level. And the easiest way to commit is to just buy some materials for your project. If you go online and you buy a microcontroller, maybe you want to buy that Elegoo Arduino Mega set that I was telling you about, or maybe you just want to buy your first ESP32. Essentially, just go buy whatever the main components are going to be for the project that you want to do. And once again, ChatGPT can tell you what those components are. That's going to be the easiest way to commit. Interestingly enough, when we spend money, we commit to things. I'm a runner, and I've noticed that I'll talk about doing a race. Maybe there's a marathon coming up or a half marathon that I'm interested in. And I'll talk about doing the race and I'll kind of loosely train for it. But it's not until I sign up and pay that $110 race fee that I really start training. My training always improves after I make that first payment. And same thing with these projects. I can talk about them, I can ideate as much as I want, but when I go and buy a microcontroller or I buy a motor for that project, then I'm like, okay, I'm committed, I'm all in. I start working on it regularly. And the same goes with the YouTube videos that I watch. I'm not spending any money watching a YouTube video. I don't really act on it. Where I've really taken action in my life is where I hired a business coach. I'm in a group coaching program, and that was actually what inspired me to start this YouTube channel. And it's because I paid for a coach, and I'm like, okay, well, I better start doing stuff now. I better do what my coach says, and I better do what I'm learning in this group. So the biggest challenge I think you'll face with picking up this hobby or picking up any hobby is just being committed. And there's a power in spending money to enhance your commitment. I think it's something that's often overlooked. We don't want to spend money and we're a little afraid to, but once you spend some money, open that pocketbook and commit to a project or a hobby, that's when you'll find that you can sustain that commitment and you'll kind of jump all the way in. So I hope that today you felt inspired and felt empowered to pick up this new hobby of designing your own smart home system and all of the sub skills and sub hobbies that go along with that. Computer programming, Arduinos, 3D printing, CAD design. And I'm going to be posting more videos to help you master those skills and to inspire you and empower you to know how you can learn them for your projects. And I mentioned in the video that I'm working right now on a smart shade, a window sunshade that can move up and down using a custom phone app that I'm designing. And I'm working on that project right now. But if you're interested in learning how I did that project, then comment smart shade below, and that will let me know that there are people who are interested in a video or a course on that topic, and I'd be happy to help you design your own system for your own home. So once again, comment smart shade below if that's something you'd be interested in, and I'm glad that you could join me today, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Until next time.